It is to be one who is rescued from the effects of evil and sin.
就是一个从被罪恶辖制中被拯救出来的人。
I like to define evil and sin like this.
我对罪和恶下这样的定义。
When evil happens to us, it is not always our fault.
当恶事发生在我们身上的时候，其实不是每次都是我们的错。
But when evil happens through us, it is our fault.
但是如果说我们做出一些恶事的话，那就是我们的错了。
And that is called sin.
那其实我们所做出来的恶事，就是我们所谓的罪。
We all have had bad things done to us.
我们其实很多人每个人都经历过有些不好的事情发生在我们身上。
Or bad things happen to us.
就是一些不好的事情就在我们身上发生。
And those things were not necessarily our fault.
这些事情其实并不都表示说是我们的错。
But also, we've all done things that were our fault.
但是我们也做错一些事情，那这是我们的错。
This makes me think of Jesus in Luke 5,
就让我们想到了耶稣在路加福音第5章里面那个事情，
where he heals the paralytic.
他就医治了一个瘸腿的人。
Jesus heals the whole person, not just one part.
耶稣医治了这个瘫子的全人。
Jesus heals the man's paralysis.
这个耶稣医治了这个瘸子，使他能够行走。
That was something that had happened to him, not necessarily his fault.
这个他瘸腿是在他身上发生的事情，并不表示说这个人犯了什么错。
But Jesus also forgave his sins.
但是耶稣也赦免了这个人的罪。
Forgiving him of all the evil and sin that had happened through him.
也就是耶稣赦免了他身上做出来一切所有的恶事。
David was in a pit and it was slippery.
因为大卫是在一个又湿又滑的坑里。
And so are the pits that we can fall into.
但是我们如果掉到的坑里面，也是会这样子又湿又滑。
It's the sort of place you get stuck in.
就是我们会像现在这样的一个地方。
Can anyone relate to the idea of being stuck in a pit?
你们能够想象看看自己，你到底卡在一个坑中是什么样的感觉
Either stuck in life or circumstances.
你可能是在人生的状况或者是目标里面出现了一些问题，一些困扰。
Or stuck in a pattern of behavior that you don't want to keep on going, you want to stop.
或者是你有一些想要你改变的一些生活方式，但是你一直没有办法改变。
Our pits that we fall into are like this.
我们的掉进的坑就像这样子。
And they create a mixture of weight and shame.
它会带来给我们一些很沉重的负担和一些羞辱。
Weight for the things that in the times where we have been wronged.
就是我们可能被误会的时候，这种的压力。
And shame from the times that we have been wrong.
可能就不好羞耻的事情，可能是因为我们做错某些事情。
I know the reality of having evil done to me.
我知道这些不好的事情发生在我身上是什么样的感觉。
And if I'm honest, I know the reality of evil being done through me.
我也知道，如果说比诚实的话，我也知道我做过哪些不好的事情。
We have all been in that pit.
我们每个人曾经都在那样子的坑中度过。
And in Christ, we've all been lifted out.
但是这个基督在基督里，我们已经被从这坑中拯救出来。
Look at the contrast in verse 2.
我们看看第2节这样子不同的对比。
There's a contrast between the slimy pit and the firm place where David can stand.
第2节里面讲到，在泥中把我拉上来，使我脚立在磐石上，使我脚步稳当。
In Christ we have an incredible and firm and strong standing.
我们在基督里面有一个非常坚固的磐石，让我们站立得住。
It makes me think of Hebrews 12.
让我们想到这希伯来书第12章里面这样讲到
where we are told to cast off every weight and the sins that so easily entangle us.
希伯来书12章这样讲到，就当放下各样的重担，脱去容易缠累我们的罪。
We cast off the weight of the evil done to us.
我们放下这些在我们身上做的坏事这些重担。
And we cast off the sin along with the shame that it brings.
还有我们要把我们的罪脱去，就是这些罪让我们带来给我们一些羞辱的这些东西一起脱去。
Considering Jesus who endured the cross for the joy set before him, despising the shame.
就这样，仰望为我们信心创始成终的耶稣，因为他在那摆在前面的为那摆在前面的喜乐，就看见羞辱，忍受十架的苦难。
And like Jesus, we endure for the sake of joy.
我们跟耶稣一样，我们要忍受这些苦难，为的是我们未来的一些喜乐。
And this takes us back to our psalm this morning.
我们要看到我们今天这段经文
David is saved and given a standing and a new song.
我看见大卫在今天经文中，他被拯救了，有了一个新的立足点跟一首新歌。
新歌
The new song.
I practice. And there we see yet another beautiful contrast in this psalm.
我们看到在这40几章这40篇的诗篇里面，我们看到不同非常强烈的对比。
Between the patient song of waiting in the pit and the new song of praise, the 新歌。
我们看到大卫在坑中那个等待呼求的一种的呼求，还有他被拯救出来所唱的一个 new song。
谢谢
Thank you.
不客气。Psalm 40 is sometimes thought to be two pieces of poetry put together.
很多人认为这诗篇第40篇是由2个不同的诗篇组合而成的。
Verses 1 to 11 and verses 12 to 17 put into one.
第一部分是在第1节到第11节，第二部分12节到17节，他们认为是这2个是不同的诗篇，但是他把它们放在一起。
Some people say that verses 1 to 11 are thanksgiving and verses 12 through 17 are lament.
那个人他认为说，第1节到第11节是属于一个感恩的诗歌，但第12节到17节是一个哀歌。
But I think they were all written together.
但是我想说，其实他们这2段是写在一起的，同时写的。
I think we're not used to having thanksgiving and lament together.
但是我们可能不习惯说，我们可以在哀伤的时候可以同时可以感谢。
But life needs to be expressed through both.
但是我们每天的生活当中，我们必须要有感谢，还有哀伤。
On Christmas afternoon, I was at my wife's parents' house.
在圣诞节的下午，我在我的岳父母家。
And my wife's father, my father-in-law, he is a bit of a student of the Bible.
我的岳父他也是在查考圣经的。
And on the coffee table, there was a book about reading the Old Testament.
在茶几上有一本书是有关于如何读旧约的。
It was by a Catholic scholar named Lawrence Boat.
这是有一个天主教的一个学者叫 Lawrence Boat 所写的。
He had a chart about the Psalms, organizing them into categories.
它里面有个表格，就是把诗篇里所有不同的诗分成不同的不同的种类。
And the largest of all categories, the category that had the most psalms in it, was lament.
但是在诗篇里面，他发现很多最大的篇幅的诗篇是有关于哀歌的。
Songs expressing the pain of people.
在诗篇里面就表达了神人心中的苦难，真正的痛苦。
That's the Psalms are the songbook of Israel.
这个诗篇是那个以色列人他们的诗歌本。
And then there's a whole other book of laments called Lamentations.
但是在希伯来文的圣经里面，除了这些哀伤的诗歌之外，还有另外一本书叫做耶利米哀歌。
Sometimes we don't like to sing sad songs.
有时候我们常常大概不会喜欢唱一些非常悲哀的诗歌。
But God's people have always been able to sing them.
但是神的选民以色列人常常会唱这样的诗歌。
A famous psalm has made it into a popular song called "By the Waters of Babylon."
有一个诗篇，里面一个诗篇被人家变成那个非常流行的歌曲，叫做在巴比伦的河边。
It was sung by God's people when they were taken into exile in Babylon.
这个诗是在以色列人被放逐到巴比伦的路上所唱的一首诗歌。
African American slaves sang the song "Swing Low, Sweet Chariot."
美国的黑奴在他们奴隶时代里面曾经唱过一首诗歌，叫做《火车火马》。
And Stephen is going to sing that for you now. sweet chariot, come forth to carry me home. I didn't even know he knew it. They weren't smiling whenever they sung that song.
但是黑牛在唱这首诗的时候，他们不是唱着笑脸来唱的。
Who has ever seen the movie or read the book or seen the play Les Miserables?
大家有没有读过这本书，或者看过这个电影，或看过这个音乐剧，叫做《悲惨世界》？
Yeah, yeah. I dreamed a dream of time gone by.
我曾经有一个梦想，梦中有个梦想。
The song about pain.
这首歌是代表生命这个生活中这个困苦的事情。
He took my childhood in his stride, she sings.
他们讲到说，他把我的童年都拿去了。
And life has killed the dream I dreamed.
这个我们整个生活就把我的梦想都破灭了。
Sometimes we want to smile because they're beautiful songs.
有时候要有点微笑，因为它是很美的诗歌。
But they're songs sung out of deep pain and hurt.
但是这些诗歌所唱的非常痛苦，非常深深的痛苦。
And God's people have always been able to lament.
但是神的子民常常都会能够这样子唱这样哀歌。
We cannot say that lament is just for the Old Testament.
我不能说这种哀歌只是旧约时代的事情而已。
We cannot say that because we are in Christ, we are happy all the day long.
我不能说，因为我们信了耶稣，我们每天都是快快乐乐的。
In one sense, that is true because we are secure.
有一种从一个角度看，我们是对的，因为我们对我们的救恩有盼望。
But bad things still happen to us and occasionally through us.
但是常常坏的事情常常会发生在我们身上，但有时候我们也会做一些不好的事情。
I remind you of the book of Revelation, where the martyrs sing under the altar.
我们可以想想看，在启示录里面，所有的圣徒在羔羊宝座前面会唱什么样的歌？
The lyrics of their song were a song of waiting. How long, O Lord, until you judge the wicked?
他们可能所唱的歌是说：“神啊，我们还要等待多久，你才来审判这些罪恶的人？”
They were waiting, and David was waiting in this song.
这些圣徒在羔羊宝座前面也在等待，大卫也在等待。
And look at another contrast.
我们看看另外的对比。
Verse 1 sounds as though God is not active.
我们看到这个今天的40篇第1节里面讲，好像神没有在做什么事情。
David is waiting patiently to see God act.
大卫真的很耐心的等待，看看神要做什么样的工。
But then in verse 5, it's different.
但是第5节好像不一样。
It sounds as though God is very active.
但神好像做了很多的事，
Doing so many things that he can't even name them all.
但神行了很多奇事，实在无法胜数。
Could it be that our circumstances might affect the way that we interpret God's action?
但是为了我们的生活状况，我们的心态改变了我们对神的旨意的一个态度。
Instead of letting our lives shape the tone of our worship should be shaped by the tension between God's sovereign nature and our changing circumstances. All of them.
我们的敬拜赞美不应该被我们生活情况所塑造，我们的敬拜应该是要被我们与神的主权和那永不变的神性这样子，和我们一直在改变的生活情况所塑造的。
Singing a new song, 新歌, is not simply a song that we haven't heard before.
我们唱一个 new song 一个新歌，并不是代表说这个歌我们从来没有听过。
It's not a song to tickle our attention spans.
不是让这首诗歌好像觉得这个很新奇一个东西而已。
A new song flows from a new life and a new standing in God through Christ.
一个新歌应该是你在基督里面，在这个新的那个台子上所唱出来一个新的歌。
A new song can sing about God's wonders, God's deeds, and God's plans, of which there are too many to count, yes.
一首新歌应该是歌颂神的奇妙、神的计划和神的大功，那些是让我们无法胜数的。
And a singer can sing to God through pain and loss, which happens more than we admit.
一个 new song 我们实在是可以在我们痛苦和失去挚爱的时候向神歌唱，虽然这些事情可能 发生的比我们，这虽然有时候我们不想承认不好的事情在我们发生上。
I suppose it is possible for a church to worship in a way that is like a funeral service.
我想可能在教会里面的敬拜赞美，可能可以变成像一个丧礼一样。
But I've never seen it.
但是我从来没有看过这样子的敬拜。
If you look at song databases of songs that churches sing, you'll make an interesting observation.
但是我们可以发现，来看看我们每个教会每一个州所唱的诗歌里面，我们可以看到一些很有趣的事。
We don't sing as many songs about pain as are in the Psalms.
我们教会里面诗歌里面很少提到这种痛苦、那种悲伤的一些诗歌，就像在诗篇里面，绝大部分都是一些痛苦、悲伤的诗歌。
And I wonder how that looks from people outside the church.
但是如果说在教会以外的人，他们会看到是什么样的情况？
Those who are hurting and struggling.
那些在痛苦、在挣扎的人，他们听到这些歌会有什么样的状况？什么感想？
And what about those inside the church that are hurting and struggling?
不要讲到外面教会外面的人，虽然是在教会里面，当他还在痛苦、在挣扎的时候，他们听到这些歌，他们会有什么样的想法？
We have to sing songs that can express our pain.
我们需要唱一些诗歌，能够表达我们心中的痛苦。
Worship is for the whole body.
敬拜是属于给整个基督的肢体的。
And until Jesus comes again, some parts of the body are not going to be feeling well all the time.
直到耶稣再来的时候，这个教会肢体的某一些部分是不会每天会觉得非常快乐的。
I don't feel great all the time.
其实我连我自己都不会每天觉得非常快乐、非常高兴。
2014 has been a very, very, very difficult year for me.
2014年对我来讲是个非常艰难的一年。
Not only have I lost my friend,
不止我失去一个挚友，
I've also had 2 significant pits that I've dealt with.
而我也爬出了我生命中的2个坑。
The first pit is the pit of shame.
一个是一个不少羞耻的一个坑。
As a child, I experienced abuse of a particular kind that I won't go into much detail about.
但我在童年时代，我曾经受过一些儿童那种暴力伤害。
I was 5 or 6 years old.
我大概5、6岁的时候，
And I have felt most of my life deep shame and much struggle.
在我整个生命成长当中，我就觉得非常羞耻、非常挣扎。
I felt I was dirty because I went along with what happened.
觉得好像自己有点污秽了，因为我就这样做，跟着做下去。
I felt like something was wrong with me.
我觉得好像我适合什么，哪些地方不对了。
The other pit is the pit I've experienced from being a worship leader early on as a Christian.
还有那个深刻就是，当我在基督徒的生命初期的时候，我是一个带敬拜赞美的人。
When I first became a Christian at around age 20, I began to lead worship a lot.
当我20岁成为基督徒之后，我开始带领敬拜赞美，而且常常带领。
Sometimes 3 times a week.
然后有时候是1个礼拜3次。
And I learned how to tweak people's emotions.
我常可以用一些东西来改变人里面的那个心情。
Loud and very soft.
很大的声音或非常轻柔的声音。
Fast and very slow.
或是非常快或非常慢节奏的音乐。
I think I became too calloused to emotion.
我发现我好像对整个我们的心情那种感情都非常太注重太多了。
I became suspicious of emotion in worship.
我开始变成对我们在敬拜当中的那种感受、感觉开始起了疑问。
During the course of the end of 2013 and the year of 2014, some significant things happened for me.
在2013年结束，在整个2014年当中，有一个非常重要的事情在我生命中发生。
And it has felt like coming up out of these pits.
这个事情发生，让我觉得好像我从这坑中被拯救出来。
First of all, at the end of 2013, I had a conversation. I was able to actually talk about the abuse with the person who abused me.
在2013年年底的时候，我对我施暴的人，可以好好的坐下来面对面交谈。
I had not talked about that with anyone for 25 years.
其实过去25年，我 从来没有跟人家讲过这个事情。
I've been getting some counseling and some good godly counsel with trusted Christian friends.
我对一些我基督的朋友里面，也有对了一些对我有很好的一些心理的辅导。
I received some prayer at a leaders retreat that we had.
我还有我们在我们的这个领袖会的这个营会当中，有些人为我祷告。
Jack and Yongjun saw me cry.
我们蒋牧师跟董传道看到我掉泪了。
You're supposed to laugh at that. They saw me cry like a little boy.
看到我像小孩一样哭。
My counselor told me what was happening.
我的这些辅导员跟我讲到底发生了什么事情。
He said that whenever people would give me love or affection, and I would feel joy, that joy would leak through holes in my heart, like my heart had holes in it, and those holes were like holes of shame. So I couldn't hang on to or hold on to the joy or the love because it would seep through the holes.
当我的这辅导员跟我讲说，你所有的这种虚无的东西，像心里面有一些洞一样，当别人家给你爱的时候，你这个爱都会从这个洞里面掉出去，你是没有办法保留住人家给你的爱。
And God is closing those holes.
但是神已经开始慢慢填补这些洞。
And He's given me a bit of a new song.
他也给我一个新歌。
At Easter camp last year, I made a friend, and he introduced me to another friend at St. Paul's in the city.
我去年在我们教会复活节营会的时候，我认识一个朋友，这个朋友介绍给我那个朋友是在西体里面那个教会。
And this friend named Andy is the leader of a ministry called Worship Central.
这个朋友他名叫 Andy， 他是在一个叫做敬拜中心的一个人的服侍。
And I participated in a conference there and received some lovely prayer, and they have welcomed me into their ministry.
他们在那边，我去过他们的一个集会，我那边得到的有人为我祷告，也把我欢迎进去，欢迎到他们团队里面。
And it feels like God is restoring in me the joy and beauty of worshiping God.
他好像神重新建立了我心中那种对神敬拜那种美好的事情跟赞美。
Like Isaiah in chapter 6, I can say to a holy God the following words.
我可以再像以赛亚书第6章这样子，我可以向着神圣的神讲这些事情。
I can say, yes, I have unclean lips, and unclean worldly people haven't helped that. But your help has touched me and cleansed my life, so here I am, and send me.
我可以跟上帝讲说，因为我是嘴唇不洁的人，那我周围嘴唇不洁的人也没有帮我多少，但是你洁净了我的嘴唇，除掉我的罪，你的罪，我罪就得赦免。我在哪里？请差遣，我在这里，请差遣我。
I'll tell and I will sing of your countless mighty deeds.
我要去歌颂、传扬你那大不可胜数的伟大奇事。
And that, after all, is what baptism is about.
其实这就是整个受洗有关的事情。
Being lifted up and rescued from our pits of evil and sin.
我们被从我们在罪恶的这个深坑中被拯救出来。
Being placed on a new, solid rock ground in Christ.
被摆在一个坚固的磐石上，就是我们的耶稣基督。
And being given a 新歌 to sing.
我们也给了一个新歌让我们一起来歌唱。
And we're going to sing now a song on Christ, the solid rock I stand.
我们就来唱回应诗歌《坚固磐石》。